So maybe you can react to that in whichever order you want.
Sure, happy to go first. Yeah, there are a number of existing products out there. You should absolutely fly on zero-G, fly parabolic flight. It is a thrilling experience. It does not have any immediate analog in anything else you've done. You can't say it's a roller coaster plus or scuba diving plus. It's much more than that. But it is a fundamentally different experience. You know, people talk about when you look at the big existing market surveys, the third-party thing, the Torres study and the Futron study, they talk about it's the combination of having all at the same time. It's out of the seat weightlessness, it's the great views out the window of the Earth looking down and the black sky looking above. It's being able to combine all those three, and then a big part of it is the prestige. It's the cachet of being able to say, I am the first Estonian to go to space. It's the ultimate, you know, chat up line at a bar or a cocktail party bar. But also, if you look at certainly our 570 future astronauts who have signed up to date, this is, with no disrespect to some of the companies just across the street, the ultimate social network, right? These people are part of the world's most exclusive club of astronauts, and they're also part of this group of people who get invited to parties with Richard Branson and a lot of other business leaders, celebrities. People want to be part of that. They want that badge of honor that they can share for the rest of their life. And although you get a little bit of that by doing some of these other experiences, like flying zero-G, that is a pretty good chat-up line in and of itself, but it's not at the same order of magnitude as being an astronaut. In terms of the timing, we all wish it could go faster. Thankfully, I feel really privileged to be in an industry where every player, not just Virgin Galactic, but all XCOR and all the other companies, know that we have to do this when it's safe. And we can't just be driven by an immediate rush to market, because that's the surest way to put ourselves out of this market. Richard would have loved to fly sooner. I would have loved to have already had a few flights under my belt, absolutely, but we're not going to get there until we're ready to get there. We're lucky enough to be well capitalized and to have customers who are along for the ride, who recognize that they are early adopters. They are, you know, we had people sign up and put down $200,000 in deposits in 2005. We had no idea what Spaceship Two was going to look like. If you look at those early graphics, it's just Spaceship One with a different coat of paint on it. These people knew they could have waited several years, but they didn't want to, because they wanted to get invited to Branson's house and party, but they also want to know that they are, by virtue of their investment, opening this frontier. They can say, we're the pioneers. And then especially, I think this is one reason, getting into the diversified markets, when we go out and we do things like we fly students and we fly educational experience and we fly research, it's a win-win, because that is a revenue positive, you know, business front, but it also makes all of our astronauts feel much better about their purchase. Because they say, hey, by me paying $200,000 early, that means that master's school student gets to fly their experiment, or that sixth grader, or whatever. So it's a combination of reasons. We've been very pleased. We've exceeded all of our sales milestones. Our retention rate is essentially 100%. You know, there are a few people who have had injuries or, you know, had to drop out for reasons like that, but our customers are very happy, and they keep adding on. Hopefully that trend continues.
So you asked two sets of questions. Mm-hmm. Is it just the development cycle, or is there something else holding the industry back? It's not other things that are holding the industry back. Mm-hmm. You know, George's office has been very, very good at making sure that the environment is there for us to fly, reaching out to international partners, and encouraging their adoption of a regulatory regime that's similar to the U.S. You know, we aren't going to Curacao because it's easier. In fact, you know, if my crystal ball's right, Curacao will probably be the first country that adopts a very similar U.S. regulatory environment in the very near future. So, so it's not that. It's just you know, things take time in the aerospace sector. But it's getting done, and I think 2013 is going to be a big year for the industry. I predict that you know, we'll see first powered flight out of Will, and you'll see powered flights out of us as well, which is exciting. In terms of the market development side and this sort of early adopter crossing the chasm thing, which is sort of I'm reading through the tea leaves. You know, is it just folks who want to go hang out at Necker Island and whatnot? And it's not. That's not what our customer base is looking at. It's you know, folks who have anywhere from only, you know, $500,000 or $1 million of liquid net worth to obviously the unlimited spectrum. people who have dreamt about going to space. They grew up in the age of Apollo, or they love Star Trek, or something has attracted them to space. Just earlier this week, I was in Curacao for our partners board meeting, and we were sitting there having a little cocktail reception at the Jazz Bar at the Vila Beach Hotel, and 3 tickets were sold because people are excited about going to space. One couple had been talking to one of the advisors of the company earlier in the day at an office in Willemstad, found out about this, came out, met all the players, and made their decision that night. Exciting. And that's just not an isolated story. You mentioned earlier Unilever has now stepped into the fray, and through an Axe brand promotion has bought 22 flights. That was announced January 9th. It's a 60-country promotional activity. That's going to see probably over 1 billion people in the next 12 months. There's going to be a Super Bowl ad that they're going to run called The Lifeguard, which advertises, in effect, nothing beats an astronaut. Okay? And then you can sign up and potentially win a flight. They'll be giving that away shortly. You can sign up now, by the way, go into axeapollo.com. And there you go. By the way, Axe is used by a lot of young men. I didn't know this. After this was brought to my attention this was going to happen, I found a can of it in my house. Turns out my 10-year-old uses it, so I never knew. So who knows? But, it's exciting stuff. We're seeing other promotional flights like that coming online. There should be 3 or 4 announced in the next few months, but one of them is a 30-flight sale to an online gaming company. And that's not an isolated case. It's really being adopted on a broad base. Now, what's the values being taken? How do we cross that chasm and to get from the early adopters? And what I'm seeing is that people will take value from the people who went before them. Because they're gaining value because they see other people have done it safely. Governor Susan Martinez in New Mexico is a very good example of that. She gave a speech not too long ago in Las Cruces where she said, I would love to go, but I'm going to let a few people go before me. And she wasn't just joking. It wasn't a throw-off line. She's very serious about that, I believe. And so once we have a safety record, people like the early days, you guys probably, most of you are too young to realize this, but when my parents stuck me on a plane flight to visit my grandparents in 1967, 68, they looked at the safety records of Piedmont and Eastern and those other East Coast airlines that we were flying on and chose the safest one to put us on. The prices weren't that much different. I think the same thing's going to happen in spaceflight. So who's flown the most? Who has the best safety record? And people will take value of that. Of course, there'll be price drops eventually. There will be a network effect. People are going to talk about it. Joni Smith's going to go back to Nebraska and get in the local newspaper about her space flight. Oh, and by the way, she took an experiment along with the 6th grade class. That's going to build a market. And it's not just, it's not about space tourism now. And then you have the industrial applications. We heard earlier about taking risks when costs of experiments are so low. One big industry, multi-billion-dollar industry global today is proteomics. You know all about that. Well, imagine if you can grow a bigger, better crystal in 3 minutes in microgravity than you can in a gravity field in the lab. Size of my old antique BlackBerry. I'm hanging on until I get the new one with the keyboard. 96 sample wells in something like this. I can pack 200 of these on a Lynx. We can get one crystal for $100,000 or two out of that flight. You're talking it's $1 billion disruptive application inside of a marketplace that never even looked at space really before as a potential.